Hi, Michael. It's good to see you today. How are you doing?
Hi, Michelle. Doing well. Good to see you. Thank you for having me on this call.
Think you'd be a great person to talk about how there's a big misperception on English and offshoring because today in the US, a lot of people may call a customer service line and they can just tell that someone is not in the United States when they answer. And so I want to talk a little bit more about the English upbringing in the Philippines and how it got ingrained in your life. And you have great diction, which is like the pronunciation and your accent. And so I want to learn a little bit more because like English is not my first language. Although I grew up in the United States, like I watched Sesame Street. So that was how I learned English, going from Chinese to English. And then I was really lucky. I had like an older brother. Like he was 4 years older, so he was able to go to preschool, get ingrained in the American school system. So he had to learn English to make friends. And then when he came home, he started talking to me in English, and I was like, I don't know what he's saying. So then that got me actually learning English there. But I think I was lucky because, I was brought up that way. But I want to hear a little bit more about you, Michael, on how did you learn English? Is that your first language? Was it did you learn Tagalog and English at the same time? What does that really look like?
Well, yeah, thank you for asking. Well, similar to you, I learned English more so by watching cartoons. I used to watch a lot of Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, all that good stuff when I was a kid. But a lot more so, the English language is ingrained in our in the Filipino uh, education system as well. So we're taught English after after kindergarten. Well, as soon as kindergarten for even for some schools, they both teach us Tagalog and English at the same time. And after once you hit once you hit elementary school, then you're taught English primarily. There are still some Filipino subjects, like history, Filipino history, um, and there's a few more Filipino subjects as well, but a lot more so, science, math, even a specific English subject, we have that as well. So that's taught primarily when you hit grade school and college there. So yeah.
That's awesome. I know that actually a lot of our team members like with like the slang too. I crack up whenever I hear someone use the word cringy. I was like, oh, that's just I just feel it's a very westernized phrase. But I guess like are those phrases thrown around a lot, or is it through watching TV how those phrases get caught on and used in the Philippines?
Actually, it's pretty common here in the Philippines as well. I don't know if you know, but here in the Philippines, we have anywhere from 100 and plus local dialects. So primarily it's Tagalog, but if you drive like 30 minutes away from where I'm at right now, it can be Kapampangan, or if you move to a different, if you fly to a different island, it can be Cebuano. A lot of different dialects. I think mostly it's because we're an archipelago. So a lot of we're divided by different islands. That's why they kind of built specific dialects on per different islands. But primarily it's Tagalog, and um, second it's going to be English.
Interesting. So yeah, I recently was in the Philippines and yeah, I was in Cebu, so I know a lot of times I was asking Tony, our VP of operations, I was like, Tony, I was like, can you help us? He's like, Michelle, they speak English. He was like, I would speak English to them too because he didn't know the local dialect in Cebu. So I just kind of laughed. I was like, oh, okay. Because well, then we'll communicate in English and go from there. And
Yeah.
so I guess Michael, like growing up, was there anyone that was like a mentor to you? Like my older brother helped me learn English. Was there anyone that helped you perfect your English?
So that would be my dad. So my last name, it says Littleton, right? So my dad was actually uh he was adopted by an American expat who migrated here in the Philippines. So they kind of live similar to an American lifestyle, only here in the Philippines. You have half cousins and aunts in the US as well, over in Virginia, Washington. I've never been in the US actually. Um, but yeah, more so it's my father. So when I used to watch cartoons when I was a kid, I remember when after watching cartoons in the morning, I'm gonna have lunch with or breakfast with my family. I would used to ask my dad, "Hey, Dad, what does this sentence mean? What does this word mean?" And it kind of built from there. And I think a lot of my proficiency in English as well, more so came a lot from uh, mentoring from my father. So yeah.
That's great. Well, it's always good to have a mentor. And actually, your name, Michael, it's Michael Littleton, as you mentioned. It's westernized. A lot of our clients sometimes they think it's Michael in the United States or in the Philippines.
Well, yeah, if when your name is Littleton and you're in a local school here in the Philippines and your classmates are are Cruz, De La Cruz, um, you know, m- like Spanish last names and your name is Littleton, then you gotta live up to the name, right?
That's funny. Yeah, well, your English is very good. So you absolutely do live up to Mr. Michael Littleton.
Appreciate it.
And I know that we've been through like a few calls and we do intros. I heard you were I might get this wrong, aerospace engineer major in
Cor-
college. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yeah. I took up so actually a funny story when I was in grade school. I'm sorry, when I was in high school, I was thinking of a profession I would take that would not involve math, but luckily I have an Asian mom, so then I took up engineering. But even though I didn't like math, I had to learn it, and fortunately I did graduate with that degree. And yeah, was pretty good. I used to fix Boeings and Airbuses, before graduating college as well. So I was working on big aircrafts. But yeah, yeah, here in the Philippines, education is pretty important, pretty much to all of us. Um, and it's pretty common for you to find someone um, with a graduate degree here in the Philippines. Yeah.
That's great. That's very cool. You work for Boeing and their different aircraft. I remember you telling me that when you took a math class that it was it in English? And then
Correct.
everything was in English. So was any of it in Tagalog? You had to learn in both? Was it just primarily English?
It's primarily English. You can't be taught Tagalog in math. I'm not sure for whatever reason, but it's from grade school, high school up to college. Math has been taught primarily in English. Even our law system here in the Philippines as well. If you watch um, like a hearing, it's all in English. So it's never in Tagalog for the most
Oh,
part.
that
Yeah.
I think that makes doing business globally pretty easy because when Nick and I are working with our accounting team, we're not translating any accounting terms, which makes it super easy when we're looking at our financials, or even like when we were having our business registration and going through the attorneys. Yeah, the legal language was very easy. There's no translating. Whereas like a lot of the Latin American countries, like it's going from Spanish to English and it's
Mhm.
going on both sides, and sometimes the translations don't even line up. So I think that's awesome. And I think a lot of people are uninformed that a lot of the upbringing and the educational part too makes the globalized workforce a lot easier to do
Yeah.
business with in the Philippines.
And a lot, I think that's one of the main reasons why one of our biggest exports would be BPO as well, because language proficiency, English-wise, is pretty good here in the Philippines. Obviously, you'll find a person with a pretty strong accent, here and there, but for the most part, English is pretty good in regards to Filipinos.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say a lot of people here in the United States, even like the grammar, or even some people who are born here still have accents. So I would say it's a great community, and actually supply of labor, as you said, as BPO is the biggest export coming from the Philippines. Well, Michael, I think this is great information to have, just get a better understanding, and also hear about the culture in the Philippines and how it's ingrained, and it's it makes it challenging too for children to be bilingual growing up, and sometimes multiple languages, but beyond that. But I think that's great. That's why a lot of people who come from the Philippines are very smart because they just have a lot of things that are ingrained with them. They have that structure too that sets them up for success.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we appreciate your time as well, Michelle. Thank you for having me on, and looking forward to more calls similar to this.
Thanks, Michael. I'll see you soon.